Why am I doing millions of revenue, great profit, fast growth, and I'm not worth much? And they're like, oh, because you're a broker. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, all you do is sell other people's stuff. You're a front end engine. I'm like, okay, but that's a business. Like, it's a proper business. We have clients, we make sales, we make money. They're like, yeah, but you don't own any of the assets. You are essentially sweating the assets of someone else. They said, like, if you, the analogy was like, if you imagine a Mayfair property and then someone else's job is to rent that property out, well, the Mayfair property is valuable, but the person whose job is to rent it out, they're not very valuable. They're just a broker. I'm like, oh. And they're like, your business is a glorified broker for these other clients of yours. I'm like, whoa, okay. So that's when I understood that, or that's when I went on a big kind of reevaluation of my life and my business strategy around how am I going to rebuild this business. Went through the whole process of understanding what are assets, what are the assets you can own, what are the assets that a business can own, what are things like data assets, what are things like channels to market assets, what are brand assets, owning product and services that you actually have your own proprietary product and service ecosystem. So I went through that whole process of understanding how all that works. And then within a couple of years, we actually raised money at £9 million valuation. So at the time, that was about $14-15 million, right? So I'd gotten back to having a valuable business, but this time it was stable. It was the first.
But what were the assets in this business that you owned?
Well, we formalized our own brand. We got rid of the whole idea of being an engine room for somebody else. We owned our own products and developed our own products and services. Everyone fit within our products and our brands. We formalized channels to market that collected data. We started developing our own software, intellectual property, and media assets. So we just started accumulating all this stuff of our own. All the stuff that we knew we needed from the client, we just started developing our own asset ecosystem. The first exit had been lucky. They wanted to pay us because they didn't want us to work with anyone else. And because they were floating their company, they needed to secure their channel to market, which was us. So it's not that we were worth 14 million, we just happened to be worth it to them. And the second time around, we were actually worth the money. We became a more valuable business. This is like 2011, 2012. So I developed intellectual property, media, and all of those sorts of things. So that's when I started to understand much more deeply how business actually works and how to build a business that becomes valuable and why some businesses are very valuable and others that seem similar are not. And then from there, it was very easy. From there, I acquired a group of companies. We were able to raise the money, turn those businesses around, develop them. I bought a really significant IT business, a technology business, brought that in, fixed it, turned it around, got an offer, sold that. So suddenly I kind of saw the world through a different lens.
And you're not going building these companies from scratch. They already exist.
So I've started certain companies. So the two companies that at the moment that I started is Dent Global, which is an entrepreneur accelerator and a group of services companies that we bought, and ScoreApp, which is a piece of technology that we developed for ourselves initially that became a very valuable standalone piece of tech. And then we spun it out into its own company. And then that company has become very valuable. So that technology company now has clients all over the world, and it's got AI. It's an AI-enabled SaaS business focused on marketing technology. It uses AI to develop quizzes and surveys and scorecards, and then creates dynamic marketing campaigns off the back using AI. And that business has become really valuable on its own. Like it's in the tens of millions in valuation. And then the other one's developed its own life of its own, and it's got a group of services companies. So some of it's starting and some of it's acquiring.
Which is the one you're most proud of, the one you have the most emotional attachment to?
I'm a junkie for starting things. I love the early stages of business. I love that first 8 people on a team. I love starting with the blank piece of paper and magicking something into existence at that early stage. I almost get bored when something's working too well. It's sick. It's a sick habit. But once it hits a certain point, so Dent, for example, has a life of its own. It's got an amazing global team, and it just runs, and people get great results, and all of this sort of stuff happens, and it's an amazing business. But
it's too easy. We need some drama.
Yeah, I need it to break or something.
We need a crisis. We need recession.